Let's go to Paris. I'm delighted to say we've got Jean-Philippe Leclaire of L'Equipe newspaper with us. Jean-Philippe, we say sorry for your trouble in this part of the world whenever there's been a bereavement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, and, it's always nicer to lose a World Cup in the summers than in the winter. I can tell you that. I mean, at least you can go outside and enjoy the beautiful weather. But when you lose a World Cup final like this in the middle of the winter, I mean, it's even more gloomy and even more depressing. So the atmosphere in France this morning is terrible.
Well,
yeah.
Traditionally, in the aftermath of a defeat like this, in most football cultures, there is a scapegoat, there's someone to blame. It's difficult to know exactly how to respond to what we saw from France yesterday, because they were terrible, and then they were amazing, and then they were unlucky a little bit at the end. So what's the truth? What happened?
I mean, as usual, we kind of blame the ref, but I'm not exactly comfortable with that. I don't think it was the main problem. For me, the main problem was tactically. I think we lost the game in the first 20 minutes. We were so bad, and we couldn't adjust to the fact that it was a bit of a surprise that Di Maria was in the starting 11 of Argentina. And I think we couldn't adapt to that. There was so much space around him. He could do pretty much what he wanted on his wing. And the time to understand what was going on, to recover, to make the substitutions, it was not too late, because still we could have won that final, but it was very late. I mean, 2-0. And until the 70th minutes in the second half, it was one of the worst game I've ever seen from France. So then again, we scored those 2 goals, and it was a total different game. But I think, I mean, the problem for me was more tactically than anything else.
When Deschamps makes those 2 changes, Jean-Philippe, on 40 minutes, like, is there an argument he makes the changes even too late?
That's my opinion. It's not shared by all the journalists at L'Equipe, but that's my opinion. There was some kind of doubt about Giroud, and the day before the final, the day before the game, during the last training, during the first half of they had what we call mise en place. We knew that Deschamps was thinking of playing Thuram instead of Giroud. He stick to his first 11, to the team that played right from the beginning, the same starting 11, and we can understand that. But at the end of the day, I think the main problem is that we didn't think that Di Maria would play, and we didn't adjust to that. And I said, the tactic was not, for me. The tactic was really the main problem. And what did Colomwani and Thuram was good, but we had to wait for the second substitution near the 17th minute when Coman and was the second one, Coman and Camavinga. When I went on the pitch, that was really the turning point for the French. But before that, it was a terrible game. I mean, we were watching television at L'Equipe at our office. We couldn't believe it, because we have lost final in the past, but not this way. We were thinking like we can not lost like this, and then came Mbappe, but it was not enough, unfortunately.
Before we get to Mbappe, the illness in the camp was something that was held up as a reason for France's performance. But actually, you talk about Coman. Coman apparently had whatever the virus was, and he looked full of energy. Rabiot did not look like he was lacking in energy. He actually played okay. I thought, he played a Rabiot game. So you probably, from what you're saying, don't really hold that as any of the reason for the bad performance in the first half in particular, that it was purely tactical and less physical.
It's very hard to say, this virus, because Deschamps and his staff didn't want to talk about it. So we don't know much about it. We don't know. There was a speculation that it could be COVID, but I don't think so, because the players were coming back to training pretty quick. They were not isolated. That would have made sense to isolate them if they really had COVID. So, and if you look at the players that play really, really bad yesterday, they were not the one who was supposed to be ill. The worst on the pitch was Dembele. His first half, his first 40 minutes were absolutely awful. We didn't see the Griezmann that we have seen since the beginning of the tournament. And they were not on the sick list. So, no, I don't think it could be. Deschamps mentioned that after the game, but before the game, they were very mysterious about what was going on in the French camp. Still now, we don't know exactly what really happened with this mysterious Qatari virus.
The penalties themselves in the shootout, Jean-Philippe, often when a penalty is missed in a shootout, those become infamous and they go down in history for all the wrong reasons. And those Coman and Tchouaméni kicks, particularly Tchouaméni, because clearly Emi Martinez seemed to get in his head, throwing the ball away and talking to him before the kick. What's the reaction been like in France to Coman and Tchouaméni's misses in particular?
We kind of put more the blame on Lloris, the keeper. He had a wonderful tournament, but if you look at his statistics when it comes to penalty shootout, it's a disaster with France, at least, because he has never saved a single penalty shootout in his whole career with France. It's 9 penalties and 9 penalties conceded. But the problem with Tchouaméni and Coman is that Coman is kind of used to shoot penalties, but Tchouaméni never. This morning, and I saw on Twitter, the last time that he had to shoot a penalty, it was a disaster. I mean, he missed the goal already. So, but the problem is that the experienced players were out of the pitch. Griezmann was out. Giroud was already out. But of course, there's always this, what happened in England when they lost to Italy during the Euros. There are always some stupid, racist supporters who blame Coman, who blame Tchouaméni. But the real football fans, they don't really blame them. They blame, and the fact also they blame a bit Deschamps, because Deschamps always say that it's not. You don't have to work on penalty shootouts. It's not worth it. It's only chance. And look at what happened. I mean, we are pretty bad at it. We are nearly as bad as the English when it comes to penalty shootouts. So maybe it's time to work a little bit on that for the next tournaments.
What happens with Didier Deschamps now? Emmanuel Macron, after the semi-final, was like, "Oh, give him a new contract, sign him up."
Yeah.
What was? Macron. Like he was also very centrally involved last night in the aftermath.
Too much.
A lot of camera.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was too much. I mean, it's good to have the French president in Doha that's normal for the World Cup final, but he has to stay in a VIP lounge. He didn't have to be on the pitch. For me, that was really too much. And the fact that he considers himself also the president of the French Federation of Football he did too much. His job was to be in a VIP lounge, maybe go to the dressing room and try to console the players. But to see him like this on the pitch, it was such an embarrassment, because obviously Mbappe was not feeling too comfortable about this. Like, what the hell is he doing on the pitch? It's like if Mbappe was going to the Palais de l'Élysée to say, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that. I mean, we didn't really like that. But talking about Deschamps yesterday, he didn't say what he wanted to do. Obviously, now he's got the choice, because before the World Cup, the president of the French Federation, Noël Le Graët, said that he had to Les Bleus had to reach the semi-finals. That was the target, the objective. So now that he did it, he got pretty much the choice. But yesterday he didn't say anything. He didn't say, okay, I'm here to stay, or he didn't say it's time for me to move to another experience or anything like this, because there's always the shadow of Zinedine Zidane, you know. So now it's the next. Now we got two big mysteries, two big questions. A question about Deschamps and also a question about Benzema, because what's going to happen with Benzema? He won the Ballon d'Or, but there are some tensions with the staff, tension with Deschamps, tension with some players. Will he be back with the French national team? At this point, we don't know.
Was there a possibility that he could have played? Because it felt like the reporting from Spain, which you would assume is close to Benzema, from Marca, suggested that he would have been fit if he'd stayed around, and therefore would have been in contention to come off the bench last night if he'd had any minutes in the quarter-final or semi-final.
Yeah, but I mean, there are two different questions for me. First question is that could he have stayed in Qatar and played later in the tournament? I don't know, maybe, but I kind of share the Deschamps opinion. I mean, Benzema, he's got a very big, very strong personality, and there was always this question before the tournament: will he play? Will he not play? Then he get injured, so he would have stayed. You know, it would have been I think a distraction for the team and for the medias, for the fans. To ask always, will Benzema play? At least, I mean, he didn't. You have to remember that he didn't play much before the tournament, which was a bit of a problem. Then he get injured in Qatar, so it means that we had to wait for him to be, fully fit to play a game. And even my personal opinion, I'm not sure that this French national team would have been better even with a fully fit Benzema. Just a question of balance. Look at what happened at the Euro. Benzema was there, and we played one very fantastic games against Germany. We beat Germany in Germany, but then that was pretty much the end of the tournament. I mean, we really played bad with Benzema. Then we won the Ligue des Nations, and Benzema was there, but it was a kind of a miracle that we beat the Belgium, for example. Even the final against Spain was a kind of a miracle. I think that the team that Deschamps built for this tournament in Qatar was much more balanced without Benzema than with Benzema. And Benzema is maybe one, if not the best player in the world right now, but you know that football is not only an addition of talents. It's still, even with all this business and stuff, it's still a team's game. And I think that the team was much more balanced without him than it would have been with him.
Well, Mbappe certainly stepped up and filled that void. We were talking about the L'Equipe player ratings this morning, Jean-Philippe. What is it, a 9 for Kylian Mbappe? Is that right?
Yes, Mbappe, at a 9. He was, I mean, it's even hard to realize, I guess, for him and even for us. You score 3 goals in a World Cup final. You are the first one to do that since 1966, and you score your penalty shootout, and still, I mean, you don't win the cup. It must be terrible for him, but I'm sure he'll recover. And what is very encouraging for France, we try to be positive this morning, which is not always easy, but is that we have a fantastic team of young players. I mean, most of the players and the players who did well yesterday are still very young. And look at a player like Saliba. You know him well. I mean, William Saliba is fantastic with Arsenal. We haven't seen him much, only a few minutes against Tunisia. Look at Fofana for Chelsea. He's a fantastic player. He was not even in Qatar. We got so many young, talented players. I mean, so we can. Of course, we are disappointed and more than disappointed this morning. But for the future, for the Euro in Germany, on the next World Cup, I think we're still going to be around because, I mean, we are such. We got so many young, talented players. And Nkunku was not there, So I think it's really the start of a new story, new generation. I think we have to forget about the likes of Pogba and N'Golo Kante. I don't know, because I like him very much, but I think we have to forget definitely about Pogba. And now we have a new generation of players, and Mbappe is going to be the leader. He's going to be 24 tomorrow. So only 24. Look at what kind of level he is. I mean, so we can still be very optimistic about the future of this French national team, I think.
Who would you prefer to be the manager for that young group of talent coming through? Do you want Deschamps, or would you prefer Zidane?
Of course, I have to pay my respect to Deschamps. He has done a fantastic job, but maybe it's time to. What I'm a bit concerned is that Zidane now is free, but what's going to happen in 2 years' time? So I don't know what to think, because I think that Deschamps more than deserves to, if he wants to, to stay with the French national team, to go to Euro in Germany. But on the other hand, I mean, we have Zidane, who is ready to take the job. So it's very conflicting, because maybe for this new generation, maybe Zidane will be better. But it's very, very hard to say. If Zidane comes back, I think that it will be good for Benzema. So will Mbappe will like it? So it's a very tricky question to answer.
One last one for me. Dembele and Giroud didn't get rated at all in the player ratings. Does that mean they get a 0? Is that the equivalent of a 0, or is it worse than 0?
No. We never rate 0. It never happened. Or maybe one time, because a player was sent off after for a stupid reason. But no, Dembele had a 2, which is very low. But I mean, it was not easy for him. We know it was not his. Deschamps asked him to do a lot of defensive work, and maybe he was a bit tired of it. We didn't see the Dembele that we see usually in Barcelona, or that we have seen in the past with the French national team. It was a very restricted Dembele, and so we don't want to put too much blame on him, but I mean. He was for me, he was more a victim than anything else. But I hope he's still young too, so I hope we'll see a better Dembele than that. But the kind of defensive job he had to do on his wing, Mbappe didn't have to do it on the other wing. So it would be unfair to put all the blame on Dembele.
Just finally for me, Jean-Philippe, that moment at the end from Kolo Muani. I mean, I'm sure it's one that you were standing on your feet for, and it was a brilliant save by Emi Martinez, but I'm sure that's a moment Kolo Muani will think about for the rest of his life. It was a big, big, big chance.
Yes, of course, but if you look at this personal story, he was not supposed to be at the World Cup. He was in Japan with Eintracht Frankfurt when Deschamps called him, because Nkunku was injured. So nobody, he was playing for Nantes last year. He was doing pretty well, but if you had told me even 1 year ago that Kolo Muani would be playing the World Cup final, and that he would play at that level, that he would be about to be the key player of that final, so I would have been more than surprised. And even him, I mean, 4 years ago, he watched the World Cup alone in his apartment, and the year after, 3 years ago, he was playing for Boulogne in 3rd division. So I think he has to be very positive for what he has done. And you can say that I don't think he really missed his chance. I mean, it's the Argentinian goalkeeper who did fantastic. So I think Kolo Muani yesterday was we didn't expect him to be at that level, honestly.
Jean-Philippe, always great to speak with you. Thanks so much for being so generous with your time.
Thanks to you guys.
It's Jean-Philippe Leclaire of L'Équipe newspaper there.